Hello, everyone. My name is Faith. I am the creator of the Fanfiction Audio Dramas channel. I have been making audio dramas since 2015, and I actually started getting good at it in 2019 when I started adding music and sound effects to my projects. We are right now in the process of making the Through His Eyes audio drama, which is a Chronicles of Narnia story in 3 parts. At the time we're recording this, we have finished parts 1 and 2, and we are currently in production on part 3, which is super exciting. It has been a journey, but a very fun one, and we have all had a great time doing it. So I am here with 2 of the voice actors who are in all 3 parts. I'm here with Hunter LaPaglia, who voices Peter, and I'm here with Stephanie Kirves, who voices Elaine, who is an original character that I created for this story. So, how are you doing?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Even though you guys play a couple, this is the first time you've ever spoken to each other at the same time,
which is wild.
It really is, and it's kind of wild to think like how long it's been since the process started and everything. Like, plot twist of my real life, I got married beginning of the month, last month. So it's crazy that like going back to, I think this started like fairly soon after my wife and I got engaged. So like through that whole process, we've been working on like recording and all that stuff. And we, on our honeymoon trip, actually I got her finally to listen to part 1, and then we started part 2, but didn't get to finish it 'cause she had to take a nap. But yeah, no, it's crazy to think like how this process has gone.
Yeah, that's really cool. Congrats, Hunter.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool you found your real life Elaine. Happy for you.
Yeah, it's been such an excellent journey. I knew this was going to be a very tough project to work on because of how long it was going to take when you're doing, 3 huge parts. But everyone's been so good at continuing through with it. It's been such a good experience. So if you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into acting, both doing voiceover and any real life acting if you do. So Hunter, do you want to start?
I was gonna ask if I needed to go second, since I already kind of like started yapping a little bit. But I can go first. Doesn't matter. So my name's Hunter. I have been acting for pretty much all my life in like varying degrees. If you want to count when I'm a kid doing skits around the house or whatever, sure, my whole life. If you want to count, somewhat organized professional, we can go back to like high school doing, theater and stuff like that. Mainly musical, because I'm a band kid, so I was in band, I was in percussion on drumline. So I never got to do the plays in the fall, so I never got to do the quote-unquote serious play, and then I always was in the musicals. So I was in Annie, Into the Woods, The Addams Family, and then we flipped the order my senior year, so it was the musical first, then like the serious play. So then I got to do a production of The Diary of Anne Frank, which is like super heavy, obviously, and kind of insane to do it in high school. But I'm still, I think that's the thing I'm most proud of in the way that we handled that production. And it's something I really look back on fondly. But as far as getting into like voiceover, after I came back from college, I didn't really have an outlet for acting and was looking for anything I could really sink my teeth into, and along the way just kind of stumbled into voice acting. It kind of just took off, and here we are, years later, and doing all kinds of things, whether it's audio drama or video games or animation, or I'm part of a TTRPG actual play podcast that we do like a bunch of like fancy editing and stuff like that on the back end for like character voices and all that, and it's a full cast of voice actors, so a little of everything, really.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love
That's
that.
so fun. Stephanie, how about you?
How about me? My name is Stephanie Kirves, and I play Elaine, as we have already mentioned. I've basically been acting my whole life, too. I made costumes and wrote plays from the age of, 3, and made my family perform them. I started community theater when I was 7 years old, and I haven't looked back. And then when I was a teenager, I got more into on-camera acting, which I still do now. I've been in over 60 films on IMDb, which is crazy. Yeah, I know. I'm also a screenwriter and director, and I'm about to start my own feature film. production.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
I made the proof of
amazing.
concept for it last year, and I'm funding for the feature. It's a mental health story. I'm really passionate about mental health issues, and yeah, it needs to be told. But yeah, I mostly do film, TV, acting, a lot of horror movies. I'm kind of a rising scream queen in Florida. But I got into voiceover at my college, UCF. They had auditions for the senior thesis projects. And I'm like, okay, I've always wanted to do voices. I can do cool, like, cartoony voices and stuff. So I got the role of Sage in the Misadventures of Molly and Sage. We went to a professional recording studio. It was a great experience. And then I kind of took an online class. I learned editing, what mics to use, all that jazz. And yeah, I've been self-submitting ever since, doing a bunch of projects. I play a little girl, I play an old woman, I play a British queen. I do a lot of character voices in audio dramas mostly. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I don't have to put makeup on or get dressed, so I love that aspect of it.
We love that. I know. I was just joking earlier that I made the suggestion that we all turn our cameras on and then realized that I'd have to actually look nice. So I was like, having regrets about that now.
Yeah, au naturel, so don't judge.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. So let me ask you, were either of you familiar with the Chronicles of Narnia before you auditioned for this?
Yes, I was. I read the books in elementary school. One of my first films I went to see in theaters was the original Narnia with my dad. So it kind of got me into the whole cinematic experience and loving the aspects of filmmaking and wanting to be an actor in a way. So it's kind of full circle.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, same with me. I never read the books. I still haven't. They're on my list though. But I know I'm gonna get around to it. But I don't know if you can tell by my background. I'm a big Lord of the Rings guy. That's like my thing. So anything like medieval, that kind of, vibe. And eventually, I don't remember when I first saw it, but got hooked on Narnia and loved the films. I remember, I don't remember what year it was, but one year I was Peter for Halloween. So it's kind of in the same way. It's like a cool, like full circle moment. I think it was right after we started work on part 1. I thought back and I was like, wait a minute, I've been Peter for Halloween. I had to like ask my parents. I was like, hey, I don't know what hard drive it's on, but somewhere I swear I was this for Halloween. Can you find the picture?
We need the picture. We need it.
It's what my profile picture is in the cast server.
Oh my gosh, love it.
So
Edit
it's
that
yeah. Yeah. I'll have to find the actual picture again. But yeah, no, I mean huge.
You should send that to me, and I will put it on the screen.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, huge into it. And then, of course, like right after part 1 released, I happened to get a replica of Rendon, which I have on the wall behind me. So that was cool to like kind of bring part of that character into like my space. So it's always kind of around me, and it was kind of I don't know the word I'm looking for here. I'm not a big word guy. But kind of ironic that, because when we did the auditions, one of the lines for the audition was when Peter yells, for Narnia, in the battle, towards the end and everything. And something about it, I just couldn't take myself seriously when I was trying to record the audition. My then fiance, now wife, was in the other room working on something, and I would like try to like yell out the line, and it was not sounding good, and I would hear her like chuckle, and I was like, dang it, I couldn't like get into the right headspace. But then I have a 3D printed replica that I got made of Aragorn's ranger sword from the Lord of the Rings films. So I was like, whatever, I'm a theater kid, I know props. Here we go. So I had the sword in my booth, awkwardly holding it because it's not tall enough, but doing that and yelling, for Narnia. And that's what it's goofy, but that's what got me like into the character to record with it. So it's
honestly, physicality helps so much.
So
like,
much.
Even though it's just your voice, like even when I was doing like the fight scenes with Elaine and everything, I'd throw punches, I'd lunge, I'd dodge, because you want that movement in your body to like reflect in your voice.
Yeah.
And I think that's
and
what
I can tell you, it makes a difference. I can tell.
Yeah, it definitely
when people are,
does.
like, just making the noise and what they're actually like moving with it. You can hear it. I promise.
Yeah.
And hey, Hunter, apparently it worked because you got the role. So
yeah. So hey, for anyone out there who take themselves seriously, get props. That helps. I mean, anything to get you into that mindset, especially like for people like me who come from like a theater background. When you're used to, you know, props and physical blocking and like all these things, like even people who have done like screen acting or whatever it is. I mean, find anything that like connects it for you to make it easier for you to kind of embody that character.
Yeah. I think the fight scenes in this project were one of the coolest aspects of it. I do stage combat, so I'm like, heck yeah. I'd love to be a live action Elaine, by the way, if this ever happens.
Might be some rights issues, but I would love that too.
I'd be down. But yeah, so it was really cool just doing that in an audio drama setting, trying to do that in my little closet booth, do the movements to make it sound real, you know?
Yes, and of course, you know, in the script it just says fight sounds, so I'm always like,
so I just
okay,
improvise. My neighbors probably think I'm insane. I'm like, ha, ha, screaming.
Yeah, I usually tell people to do 2 blocks, 2 attacks, and 2 dodges. But then sometimes when you get into like later editing phases, like, actually you're doing this specific move, make a noise for this. But you know, you got all sorts of editing phase like process. It's a long, expensive process, but it's worth it. Kind of going off of some of that, what were some of the challenges working on a project like this? And if you want to say that I had to do it all for free, that's okay.
No, I think honestly, coming from a theater background, even though I've been doing voiceover for, you know, a while now, it's still always kind of weird not being in the room with folks, or like not like in a call or whatever, which is why like having the live direction helped so much, because it was so much easier to be able to be like, okay, this is what you're going for, this is what you want. And I'm sure it helps so much on the back end, because I'm sure if everybody, you know, because it's a massive cast, so I feel like if everybody is just, you know, recording whatever, sending it in, then you're going to be like, well, I can't use any of this, so I need them to do this specific thing, and it just, you know, cuts down on that time. So I think having to play, I mean, because one of, you know, I feel like my strengths as an actor is being able to ping pong off of whoever I'm acting across from. And that comes from, you know, theater and all that stuff. And I feel like that's, you know, it sounds like super basic when, you know, it's like, oh, react to the other actor. But it's such a unique thing that, like, when you tap into it, it's so, like, evident and clear. And it makes it that much more difficult when you don't have that. Which, again, is why I was so thrilled about having the, you know, the live direction through the process. But I think that's probably the most challenging thing. I would think that, and keeping the accent correct, because like most of the work I've done like 2 projects with my natural speaking accent. Everything else has been English RP, which is okay, and I feel I'm confident in my English RP. But there's a difference between, you know, playing, you know, a grown man in English RP and a 15-year-old boy from the 1940s. So it's definitely got some challenges that come with it.
Yeah, ping-ponging off that, it was a little weird not having a table read, because a lot of the audio dramas we do have table reads, but I totally understand. So many cast members, so many different time zones. It couldn't happen, unfortunately. But yeah, doing the live directed sessions helped, and I feel like you as a director really had your vision of what you wanted. You knew exactly what you wanted with lines, which at times you had me re-record a bunch of times, which was a little stressful, but I totally understand. Like the finished product all together with all the actors, it lines up, it works, which is crazy without having a table read and knowing what you're playing off of.
Yeah.
So right. I think it was just trusting my instincts and then having to shift constantly based on like your ideas as well and put those into play like on the spot.
Yeah. So and as a director, you always want to like you know, you don't want to like overpower your actors. You want to give them something to work with, but you also want to leave that up to like give them some room for their own interpretation. So it's tough sometimes finding the balance of like me not trying to steamroll everybody with exactly what I want it to sound like. But it's so funny you're talking about me making you record things. I just am remembering how in part 2 I made you record that big line when Elaine is trying to like break up Peter and Caspian from fighting, when she said that big enough. Poor thing, I had her record that line. So many enoughs. So many times. So finally I was like, okay, I know I made you do it a lot, but I promise you, it sounds amazing.
Yeah,
so
it
was
sounded
worth
really
it.
good in the final recording. Because, like, with all the cast members there, like, this extent of the battle, I had to really project and bring the emotion to make it hit right.
Right. Yeah.
And, I like that you gave me a lot of, like, emotional directions rather than line readings, which a lot of directors do. Just say it like this. I like that you gave me, like, tapping into Elaine's emotions to get what you wanted without, like, directly telling me what you wanted, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought that
every
was
now and again I have to do line reads, but it's the last resort. So kind of going off something that Hunter was saying, I keep wanting to refer to you guys as your characters' names, but
I'm used to it as an actor.
I was about to say it works. I mean,
so kind of to give some like background, the format we have for how people send me stuff on projects like these is I will generally send all of the lines to my cast members at once, and they will record everything on their own. I usually give a deadline maybe like 2-3 months later, and they'll send me everything. I'll listen to it, ask for retakes if I need anything, and then kind of maybe ask for a few retakes on each phase of the editing process as we go down the line. And sometimes it can take like 8 months. So sometimes people don't record anything. Like I'm like, okay, everything sounds good. And then 8 months later, I'm like, actually I need you to redo like a 2-word line. So sometimes communication is far between, but so far everybody has still been active to do retakes. But for this project, I started doing what Hunter was saying was live sessions. And for anybody who doesn't know what that means is we would do a voice call over Discord, and we would basically just, he would go through the lines and read them all, and then I would stop him if I needed something done differently. And we would only do that for the first like batch of everything, and then for all the retakes, everybody just did those on their own. So for Hunter, we did live sessions on both parts 1 and 2 and 3, just because we were already doing something else, so I gotta tack those in there. But Stephanie, we only did a live session for part 2. We did like a mini one for part 1, and then I had you do everything on your own. So kind of tell us about like pros and cons for doing it all on your own versus how we did on a live session.
Yeah, I mean, it was really helpful having you in the live session there, like in real time, to provide me feedback if I was going in the wrong direction. So that was helpful, so I didn't go completely off the rails in my takes and my interpretation of them. But honestly, I think your feedback was just really helpful over email as well, because you really explained exactly what you wanted with each line you wanted redone. You didn't just say, be angrier. You, like, went into Elaine's psychology. Like, she wants this, and you have to do this to get this. And so I think, like, just your way of explaining things was helpful. But yeah, the live sessions, I think I had less retakes in part 2 because of that. Because you were there guiding me from the beginning, so that was helpful as well.
Yeah. I actually only really started doing live sessions. So, like I said, Hunter, we did live sessions for all of part 1. And I think you're the only person I did all of part 1 that way. Because everybody else, I only did the first couple chapters if they were leads. But, so I just want to say that our live sessions went so well that that's why I started doing them with more people. So, thank you.
Yay.
yeah.
So, that was kudos to you for that. You're the reason why we did more live sessions on part 2. I'm pulling up my questions back and forth. So tell me a little bit about, I guess this kind of goes to both of you, but I know Stephanie, you've like talked about how you are in a lot of like on-screen stuff. Kind of tell us about the differences and the challenges of working like in person versus on a voiceover project.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's very different on screen. It's all about control, all the emotions in your eyes. That's what I like to think when I'm acting. Like, concentrate your emotion in your eyes. So it's like subtle, but it's also like super expressive in a way. So like physically, I'm focused on that a lot more. Voiceover, physically, I just let go. I don't have to like worry about what my face looks like when I'm saying a line. So you put all of that emotion into your voice. So I think that's been interesting for me over this journey, going from just saying words to really feeling what I'm saying. And I think that makes a much stronger performance, in my opinion.
For sure. It's definitely, it's really interesting because I haven't done a ton of camera work. I've only done like a few like short films when I was in high school. And for the most part, everything else has been either stage or, voiceover. But I mean, it's interesting going from theater to voiceover. One of the biggest tools in my bag that I've kept with me has been body language and things like that, because that, from where I come from as an actor, it helps me so much to inform those acting choices, even though no one's going to see it. It's something that helps so much. And you see so much of bigger productions that have full professional recording studios and stuff in places like LA and New York and Dallas and all these things. They'll get to do they'll have the recordings, and sometimes they'll put some of that mannerism into whatever is being animated, or on the next level when you look at performance capture for video games, and even sometimes animation and all that, which love that stuff, because it's literally it's just theater again. Just you don't have you get the blocking, you don't necessarily see the whole environment with you, but it's really interesting to see how those same tools can inform those decisions and those acting choices when you're limited to the booth. I mean, I joked about the sword with the audition earlier. I did the same thing when we recorded the line for real, and any time that was something that was more with the fight sounds, I would have something in my hand, even if it was just a stress ball, just something to help me get that physicality into those lines or efforts or whatever else it is. It's really interesting. Kind of, I feel like a lot of people, when they think of voice actors, they just think, oh, you stand there in front of a microphone, you just do goofy voices, and that's your job. But no, I mean, yeah, that could be part of it, sure. I mean, there's places and roles for every type of voice, whether it's stuff that's more cartoony or goofy or whatever. But that doesn't mean that a voice actor isn't an actor. There's still so much that gets put into these roles, especially when you look at performance capture and stuff like that in a lot of big AAA video games. And even if it's just 100% voiceover, there's still so much that goes into those performances, and I feel like voice actors don't really get enough credit from mainstream media. It's kind of looked upon. I'm a big proponent of animation isn't for kids. Animation is a genre and should be respected. I mean, there's just because it's animated doesn't mean it's a kids movie. No, animation is just as good a media form as anything else, and the actors that put those performances in should be recognized just as much as stage actors and film actors and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the amount of artistry that goes into animation.
Yes.
The time it takes, incredible. I don't have the patience to animate, but I appreciate those who do. And yeah, just
Agreed.
one more comment, on physicality. I learned, doing ADR for films as well, additional dialogue recording. When sound is bad on set, they'll have you go into a recording studio to re-record and dub the dialogue. So yeah, one of the first tips I got doing that is imitate the physicality you did on screen when you're saying your lines, and it will help it sync up. Mm-hmm. And I'm at first I'm I don't know, is it necessary? But it really does help. So physically put yourself into it and emotionally put yourself into it. And I think together, if you have both of those elements, you give a great performance.
Yeah, agreed. Stephanie, you kind of touched on this a little bit. When you mentioned doing table read, which I would have loved to have done that.
I know.
Or even not at that, but even just getting the leads together and doing their lines all at the same time. I would have loved that, but some people are in England, and so sometimes it's hard enough to just get a one-on-one, much less try to add 5 other people. But kind of going off of that, how does working on this, how does it compare to some of the other stuff you guys have voice acted in?
I feel like you really had a vision for this. You knew what you wanted, and you were really organized. You had set hard deadlines, but you're also understanding with us, which was nice. Mm-hmm. I guess I liked most of all how organized it was, and just your enthusiasm for the project and your direction and knowing your vision and not compromising on it.
For sure. I think kind of jumping off of that, there's been a lot of projects I've been a part of that have either fallen through, or even if they haven't, they just haven't really turned out the way they were intended, because so many people you see all the time where people will either cast actors before they really should, kind of skipping ahead, because I mean, I get it. You get super excited about this project you want to, do, and you want to get everybody involved and get everybody on the same page, but like they'll do that before things are even like written. So it's like, well, what is the actor here for? Like, what are they're not helping in any way, because there's nothing for them, to do. So
yeah, I've been in Discords for a few animated projects for like 3 years now, and still nothing.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Yeah, it's like you said, the organization speaks, for itself. Even with like the audition process, like there's so many. I don't look as much anymore on Casting Call Club, because there can be some really good auditions to find on there, but for the most part, I feel like a lot of the ones I see on there are kind of that, what I'm talking about is what they try to cast too early, or whatever else it might be, where they don't even have lines written for the audition. They're like, oh, say something you think would fit, which like sometimes like
that's
cool,
always
like,
a red flag
for me too. Like if you want improv thrown into it, cool, totally understand that, love that. I love the idea of like throwing some improv in with auditions and stuff like that. But like if you've given no thought towards like what you want your actors to say, I'm immediately like, I'm not auditioning. Wish the best for you, obviously no hard feelings about stuff, but when there isn't, it makes me feel as an actor that my time isn't respected when it comes to auditions. So it's why would I then try to like figure out what you want for the character? That, because there's a difference between like giving your take of something with what they've provided, and there's a difference that, and then like having to figure everything out.
Create the character yourself. That's not your job. That's the writer's job.
Right. Exactly. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that stood out with this project throughout all the parts, is just how, like you said, how organized everything's been. And it's been so easy as an actor to just kind of jump in and do what we need to do. And then be able to help out, wherever else, needed and all that good stuff, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, it's been interesting because we didn't really meet any of the other actors, but like, I feel like I have, because of your direction, like in meeting with you. Yeah. Like it worked out somehow, surprisingly. Like I wouldn't think the model would work, but it really did. You proved it did. So
well, thanks. I know I think it's definitely a challenge that you have to be ready for as a director, where like, when you do on screen and on stage stuff, you kind of like build that chemistry with everybody over time. Whereas I have to make everybody believe that you've had all that chemistry all the time with just your voice
film,
work. So
you usually meet people like the day of your shooting, actor-wise.
Yes, that's true.
With this, there wasn't even that. So yeah, it's like another step up, which is wild.
But both of your voices complemented each other so well too.
I love that.
That turned out so good.
I love doing accents and dialects and everything, so it was fun stepping into Elaine.
It was so fun because, like, I know I've mentioned this to you a couple times, but this whole project is a rewrite from something that I posted back in 2015 or 16, somewhere around there. And so I did an intensive rewrite a few years ago of it, and the first draft is just so bad. But
they always
when
are.
I was rewriting it, it's rough. But when I was rewriting it, in the original draft, Peter and Elaine kind of like hit it off immediately. And so then when I decided to rewrite it, I was like, it'll be a lot more fun if they hate each other at first. So we kind of added lots of animosity there in the beginning, but it made for a lot more interesting journey to watch as you guys go from hating each other to...
Yeah, absolutely. The emotional journey was so much stronger with what you really wrote.
Was. And it comes through, it translates so well. I mean, because obviously the big, difficulty with audio dramas is it being, an audio-only format. There's no visual aspect to it. So, with animation or video games, you'll get, like, you can pick up on a character's body language or different things like that. But, of course, in an audio format, all you have is, the voices and, those performances. And I'll never forget when we were driving for our honeymoon, we were listening to part 1. Anytime there'd be any like hint of like, oh, what's going on, what's happening, they're flirting or whatever, my wife would like turn and like be smiling. She's like, I want them to end up together, I want it to happen. I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. She's like, yeah, you do, you recorded it. I said, I don't know, that was like 2 years ago, it maybe not.
Spoiler alert.
But it was a ton of fun getting to listen back through once we got everything recorded. and be able to hear, that vision. Because I mean, it was so clear, the vision that you had that you wanted for this project, and getting to hear all of it together. It's really amazing how it all came together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And as a creator, like for me, even just like in live sessions, I'm like listening to all of the lines I've written come to life, and I'm sitting here like, this is so awesome.
Yeah. I just loved Elaine's journey from being like kind of closed off and from the world, from the Pevensies, and her finding like a new family through them.
Yeah.
It was fun. And I love that she's like tough, she's a strong woman, but she also has like a feminine vulnerability to her. So it's like two sides of the same coin. Because normally when people write strong female characters, it's like, oh yeah, they're a warrior. Like they don't have time for love, they don't have time for romance, they don't have time to have deep talks about loss and the meaning of love and stuff like that. But Elaine, she kind of traverses the spectrum. So I think she's very well written. So it was an honor to play her.
Oh, thank you. What a compliment. And I love that. I love that because, like you said, strong female characters are very difficult to write. So I'm glad that I appear to have done that well. That made me think of something, and I just totally lost it. Oh, and it's just a funny moment of Hunter, one of our live sessions in part 1. I don't know if you find this funny, but I find it amusing. But anyway, I just remember us recording at one point, and my direction was, okay, that was really tender, but I don't want it to be yet. You're not there yet.
Yep.
You're not at that stage of your relationship.
I think it was it's when we're running from the wolves, and it's like when we're getting to the frozen river, because it's like it was
when you were like trying to get her out of the tree.
Yes, it was the tree. It was just
yeah.
before that, when we were coming down from the tree, and then put your left foot here and your right hand here, or whatever. But it was listening back, as I didn't catch it, in the moment. But again, that's what's so great about the live directed sessions is in the moment I was like, oh, okay, I didn't notice it was that off, but sure, we'll do it again. But then listening back to it, I was like, oh yeah, that was like way more. It sounded like they'd been dating for years at that point. So it's fun to play with that dynamic throughout the story as they grow through like their character arcs and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And they have their marriage, they fall in love, and then things get rocky again. So we explored that in part 2, so that was also an interesting development.
Yeah, and I thought it was like really important to show, like, as a writer, from the writer's perspective, I thought it was so important to show how marriage isn't easy and it takes some work, and you're gonna have rough spots, and it's important to work through them. So I really liked the aspect that they still considered themselves husband and wife in part 2, so we could explore that kind of dynamic more with them too.
Yeah, there are some really funny lines. Like, one of my favorite lines is like when they're saying like, oh, our anniversary was 2 years ago, but it's also 15 years ago. Like, when are we going to celebrate this, Because time in Narnia is just so wild, and we were like 30-year-olds together, but then we go back to being 15-year-olds together, so it's just interesting exploring that. Especially in like 1940s.
Yeah, right. So let me see. Oh, kind of touched on this already, but Hunter, do you have like a scene or a line that you remember that you liked?
Ooh, well, that's too hard to like narrow down. I think, obviously the For Narnia, 100%. But no, I think my favorite line throughout the whole project to record was towards the end of part 1, when Peter and Elaine are sharing a moment after the coronation, and he had taken the mirror to get the picture of her father made. In that whole bit of dialogue, it's so sweet. It really is, and it was so fun to get to record, because it's a culmination of so much throughout part 1, where you have obviously the infighting, towards the beginning, and that animosity they have for each other, to then growing to become friends, and then friends into more, and then it's that moment where Peter finally lets that guard down and just makes it like so clear like how he feels, and makes his intentions clear. It's such a sweet moment, paired with the the music and everything else, and even the narration and everything. Like, it was fun getting to record, but even like better getting to hear it like once everything was like finished up.
Yeah, I know, recording it on my end, I'm like, oh, this is so sweet, but like I couldn't hear you, and then when it was edited together, I'm like, oh, it's like 10 times as sweet now.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one scene that managed to still come in from the original draft, but
Nice.
it's a lot better written now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very important to me as a writer, working on this rewrite, that I was like, every single scene in this needs to have a point, it needs to have a meaning, and like, even if it doesn't seem like it's important at the time, like, there will be a callback to it later, you know. Everything was connected, so
Number
that was
one
something
rule
I
of
was-
writing,
Yeah.
no fluff.
Yeah.
Yep.
We love
Right,
fluff, but we
so-
gotta cut the fluff.
Yeah, and so I was trying to make it very clear that, like, there was nothing that was in there just to be there.
Yeah.
So
I think with me, with Elaine, I love her strength. I love getting to scream and do battles as her, but I think my favorite moments were when she was most vulnerable. I know in our earlier sessions, like, I was talking softly, but you said, talk softer, almost a whisper. And that opened up, like, a whole new
Yes.
vocal range for me, almost. Just so soft, so vulnerable, and it was just...
yeah.
I love that for Elaine. I love that she could be strong and vulnerable at the same time. She had quite a range throughout the story.
Yeah, she is all over the place.
I'm
Elaine, I
going
think-
from
yeah.
like whispering to like screaming at the top of my lungs. Like my mic was
Oh,
hating
yeah.
me. I had to
Yes,
keep adjusting the levels, feedback. Oof.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. I think I will like have the whole document, the whole script in one document, so I can easily find things when I need to. And I like will look to see how many lines people have. I think Elaine had like almost 250 in part 1 alone, so she had a lot.
She had a journey.
She did. Well, I even said initially when I sent both of you the first email that I was like, everybody gets their own journey in part 1, but this is very much Peter and Elaine's story. We're seeing them more than anybody, so that's why you had so much to do in part 1, but it was good. You guys gave excellent performances.
It was. I don't know if it was easier or harder playing an original character. I don't know if you want to touch on this, Hunter, after I talk about it a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I was like the only original character in part 1, which is easy because I get to establish Elaine however the heck I want. But it's also hard because I could do it however the heck I want. I had to find Elaine myself. I couldn't watch the movies and be like, okay, so that's how she acts. That's how she carries herself.
Right.
I had to find that within myself and bring it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Hunter? Was it hard to be Peter?
It's there's a caveat to both. It's so funny you bring that up. The first project that I ever got to do, or that I ever auditioned for rather, when I started voiceover, was there's a Star Wars game that came out in like 2003 or 4, whenever it was, by BioWare, called Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. It's one of my favorite games of all time. That and the sequel, KOTOR 2. And there was a channel that I'd been following on YouTube for a while. It's called Unreal Cinema, that was taking the story from the first KOTOR game and animating it. At the time, it was Unreal Engine 4. Unreal Engine 5 came out through like production, so they switched to 5. But I digress. But they were taking the story from the game and animating it into its own series that was going to have like several seasons and all these things. And I originally had auditioned for a character named Avrin, which was the name that we gave, or that they were giving for the the playable character, because in that game you create your own character. But for the sake of the show, that was going to be the name of the character, and that's was going to be his like canon name. So I had auditioned for him and ended up being one of the last 3 up for the role, but didn't get it. But then ended up sticking around and still hanging out with everybody in that server and everything, and eventually had a character that was written in for me when season 1 was coming around, named Lieutenant Saren, and he was just supposed to be like an Sith lieutenant, because this is like thousands of years before the Star Wars movies we've seen, so it's not like the Empire. They're the Sith Empire, so they're all Sith, but they're not all like lightsabers. Super confusing. This character was originally just a bunch of different like officers, and the creator Scott was like, well, why don't we just put them all together and just make it one character? And he had me read for it, and then ended up getting cast and got to record a few lines for the teaser for episode 1, and then unfortunately the project got canceled after that, so nothing ever came of it. But bringing this up for long-winded explanation of going into the audition for that original character Avrin, there was so much going into it when you have to think of, well, this character doesn't really have a voice in the game because it's your dialogue choices, but because of that, there is so much difficulty going in because everybody already has that predetermined, like, this is what this character is supposed to sound like. So there's, difficulty in it because in a way, you have to make it your own, but at the same time, you have millions of people that have played these games to, like, try to figure out, how what's natural to sound like. And then on the other side of it, coming in after I got cast as Lieutenant Saren, that's an original character. So I was like, oh, I get to make it my own. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, I don't really have anything to base it off of. So in the exact same way, it was interesting. And then now being fast forwarding to here, obviously not an original character and something that I do have, something that I know as well as, like, the movies. I think the funniest thing to me is when they meet Father Christmas and get, their weapons and stuff like that. For whatever reason, the delivery of "thank you, sir" in the movie kills me every time. I don't know why. It makes me laugh so much. So recording that line, I was like, I can't say it like he does because it's so, like, I don't know what it is, but it makes me laugh every time. So it's funny because you kind of have, especially with, their lines like that or things like, for Narnia and, whatever else, you have that voice already in the back of your head and you don't want to sound exactly like it because you don't want to just be taking from, someone else's performance. You want the chance to kind of make it somewhat your own, but at the same time, you don't want it to be, like, so wildly different that it's unrecognizable. So there's definitely challenges to both. I don't really know if I have a preference. I think both kind of have their own challenges that are super fun to tackle and cool, like whether you're making it your own for an original character or whatever else it is. There's definitely there's cool pros and cons for both.
Yeah, I remember when we were doing the live session and we got to that line for Narnia and for Aslan. I remember us, like, having conversation about, like, so should we do this exactly like the movie, like, really drawn out and all this? And I was like, I don't think that's gonna work in this format.
Yeah.
It works in the context of the movie because it's, like, epic and you can see everything, but when you put it into, like, just an audio format, it's like, maybe not draw it out that much. But we did kind of have to play around with it, where I think I kind of remember, I think I made you redo that, where I was like, okay, we didn't want it long, but now it's too short, so kind of do a halfway point, You still want the epicness with it, but not cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's also there's so many expectations from fans of Narnia who are watching this audio drama, how they see Peter, and, like, if you didn't live up to that, that would be a little awkward. But I think we've got good feedback so far.
I think so.
Which is awesome.
I always kind of go back and look, and
haven't
I'm like,
seen negatives, so
yeah.
If nothing else, I'm the creator, and I loved everybody's performance, and I think that's really all that matters.
That's all that matters. Yeah. like I say when I'm on set, like, a director says, "You want to do another take?" I'm like, if you're happy, I'm happy.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that's what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
I know sometimes we get to the later stages of editing, like, I won't say flexible, but there's more freedom in, like, when we're recording everything for the very first time. Especially because so many times, I've mentioned this before, a line will work when you say it by yourself, and then I get it paired up with everybody else's, and then I'm like, oh, actually, this doesn't work anymore. I need it read in a different way. But we get into, like when it's close to almost being posted is when I start getting really picky, and I'm, like, having people record things over and over again, like that line in part 2 with the enough. I start getting, like, really specific. I'm like, nope, I need it like this. Nope, I need it like this.
It was interesting. I feel like you were really lenient in my delivery in a lot of lines, and others you knew, like you had a very specific vision that you wanted, and you had me redo it a few times. And I think the end product came out good, so I'm not mad at you.
Oh, good. One of my favorite scenes is was in part 1, and it was the scene where kind of in the middle where Peter and Elaine are talking on the hill, and that's the moment she confesses, like, everything that happened with her dad and how she's been feeling and all of that.
That was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up using the score from the Witcher spin-off Blood Origin, which everybody has their own opinions about that, but whatever you feel, the score is amazing. So I ended up using this part of the score for that, and that was one of those moments as a creator where, like, the heavens opened and the Hallelujah chorus was playing in the background, because I was listening to this and I was like, this is the best scene in this whole project. I mean, everything, like, the voices and the music just paired up so well that I was like, this is just beautiful. I mean, you just got kicked in the feels in that little chunk. But I actually
that's hard to do. Yeah, it's hard to do audio only, so kudos to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ended up using that kind of like theme sort of replays a lot throughout the score. And it was one of those moments where that score fit that scene so well that I was like, I'm never going to be able to use this score for anything else ever again, because it's never going to pair up as well as it does with this scene right here. So in part 2, you kind of hear that every time there's like a really intense feelsy scene with Peter and Elaine, you hear that theme in the background, so much so that I've renamed it in my head Peter and Elaine's theme.
It's perfect. Musical
Love
motifs
that.
through stuff like that. I love that. Whether it's either, you know, some small, you know, section of, you know, a larger score that kind of plays during those specific moments, or just reusing the score itself. Like, I love that kind of stuff, that continuity you have with projects, whether it's a TV series over, you know, however many seasons, you'll hear that theme come up, or, you know, whatever else. And especially with stuff like audio dramas, having that extra continuity with, you know, wherever you can get it, it just improves the quality so much. And getting to do that it's so cool.
Yeah. I feel like for an unpaid project, so much thought and editing expertise went into this. Like, you really thought about each score, each sound effect. And I think that's what makes it like a great project. Even though I didn't get paid, I'm proud to be a part of it, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, I don't do much unpaid work anymore, but like some projects I'm willing to do just because of the story, because of the passion behind it. And I feel like this is one of those. Yeah.
And I always say, I think I even list this on my profile, where I'm like, I think everybody needs to treat unpaid stuff as if you are getting paid for it.
Exactly. You know, you're building up your portfolio.
Yes.
You're networking with people. You don't want to leave a bad impression, because then you're never going to get paid work. If you can't handle unpaid work, well.
Exactly. The networking, it's such a good point through this project. I've been able to work on another project. Actually, Faith, I think you're also involved in said project, the Little Women audio drama. Chloe reached out to me just, you know, a week, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, on Casting Call Club, and was like, hey, you know, I just think you'd be, you know, a good fit for this role. Would you like to read for it? You know, but I mean, like you said, you know, treating, it doesn't matter if it's unpaid or not, treat it like you're getting paid, because it's, like you said, if you don't take it seriously when you're not getting paid, you're not going to get the opportunity to take it seriously when you are getting paid. I mean, work is work, and, you know, the audition is the job. So, like, I've seen so many people that kind of, they're like, oh, this would be cool, but I'm just going to kind of record an audition, just shoot it out, and then they just kind of, I mean, it's good to send and forget, so you don't get so hung up or like disappointed when things don't work out, because rejection is part of the industry. You're going to get told no a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't make you any less of an actor or anything like that. It just means that you're not necessarily the right fit for that role, for that voice. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you, but it's so easy to get caught up on that, you know, feeling, that I feel like some people take the send and forget a little too far, where they don't really even put the effort into the auditions. They kind of just, let me just say a few lines, send it out, cool, go to the next one. And it's just kind of like, you know, it's, I don't know, it's a weird, I have mixed feelings about it, because, like, it's awesome. Like I said, auditioning is the work, so it's awesome that people are sending out so many auditions, you know, and being able to pump out audition after audition. A lot of times it'll end up with, you know, a few jobs here and there or whatever else, but at the same time, I feel like if there's no care put into your body of work, then what's the point?
If you don't put effort into the audition, you're never going to book anything.
Exactly.
If you're just recording just to record and send it in to submit, like, they're not going to pick someone who half-asses their audition. They're going to want someone who's committed and really gets into the character.
Yeah,
I
like
put
on description of all
camera
my projects of, like,
and voiceover. I love that. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of passion in this project, which is awesome.
Yeah, and of course, like, as a director, you also have to bring out passion in a lot of people, because every now and again you get somebody who's, like, kind of shy, a little reserved, and then I need to work with them on, like, nope, scream it so loud that your neighbors think you're crazy.
That's me.
You know?
I've done, like, so many audio dramas where I'm just screaming. Like, I feel like my neighbors must think I'm having mental breakdowns constantly. Screaming some weird stuff in different voices too. So split personality ?
Well, they're getting a free show, so, you know.
Exactly.
I ought to charge them for it now.
Yeah, Right, get a little extra money. All right, well, this was amazing. This is the first time we've ever done an interview like this, and I think for a first time it went pretty perfectly, so thank you. So I'm just so happy that you guys were able to take some time out of your day to meet with me, that you guys were able to meet each other for the first time. It's really awesome that we all got together to have a little chat, kind of get to look more into what goes into making these kinds of really long projects. It's a very fun experience. It's challenging, but we all love every part of it. It's fun making fan projects, even if we just, because like fan projects, you don't get paid. We just do it for the fun of it. So there's that little extra layer of passion in there. But thank you so much to you guys. It was an amazing talking to you. Thank you so much for all of the hard work and the effort you put into making this project amazing. It would not have been this good without you guys. So I really appreciate everything you put into this.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet.
Yeah. I'll send you off into
comment,
the world.
Yeah. A comment coming off of that, if you don't love it, don't do it, because it's a hard industry. It's very hard. It'll knock you down. You'll get 100 no's for every yes. Mm-hmm. Long hours, lots of work for little pay at first, no pay a lot of the time. But if you love it and it's your passion, like you can't see yourself doing anything else, do it.
Yeah. I mean,
just do it. Just get out there. You're never going to feel ready. Just jump into the world of voice acting, into the world of screen acting, whatever it is that you're passionate about or want to explore. Just try it, get out there, get your feet wet, and you'll make connections and go up from there.
Exactly. It's all about just taking that leap. I mean, to quote which was it Into the Spider-Verse, or was it whatever the first one was? I forgot what the titles are, but regardless, it's a leap of faith, and that's really all it is, just taking that first step, whether it's auditioning for a project or getting to meet with a casting director or whatever it is. I mean, it's one thing I always tell people. I actually got to do a panel at Arkansas Comic-Con this year in September, in September. And a lot of it was about, working as a non-union voice actor and working as a remote voice actor. Because there's so many people. I mean, I live in Central Arkansas. So being where I'm from, obviously it's not a big market or anything. And you see so many people that are in, like I said earlier, LA, Dallas, New York, wherever it's at, where these like bigger markets are. And a lot of people feel like they can't get into voiceover because they don't live in those areas. But you can. I mean, ever since COVID, remote voiceover became so much more popular, and even with a lot of projects going back towards like studio recording, there's still more than enough opportunities out there. You just have to be willing to work, a bit harder for them. So it's definitely just, like you said, just take the leap, just go for it. I mean, the worst thing someone can say is no, and that's going to happen, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with getting told no. It's all about getting that experience, auditioning and getting into it, and you never know, where it could lead.
Yeah, I had somebody audition for part 1, and I, like you're saying, I didn't have anywhere to put him. He gave a fantastic audition. He just didn't fit anywhere, and I was so upset because he had such a great voice, but then he ended up playing Caspian in part 2. So, a no in one thing can lead to a yes in another thing.
Yep. And that's why it's important to always leave a good impression.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, this is a great experience. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone who took the time to listen to us just jabber for the last hour. So I hope to do a couple more interviews at some point in the future, but we'll see if we can line it up with everybody being in different time zones. But thanks so much, and have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.